My mother. She wore hats with veils, whenever she went to church or out visiting neighbors. They made her look mysterious, and she was, and indeed still is, a mystery to me. Her maiden name was Marguerite Turpin. What comes to me most is how much I don't know. It was all so long ago. I have memories, of course, snapshots of memories like pictures of a trip. I don't know exactly where she was born, or exactly where she's buried, or exactly what she died of. Now, to understand this, you'd have to understand Outport Newfoundlanders. The one thing for certain is, Newfoundland is where her story began and where it ended. She never left the island. Did she want to? She was born September 1st, 1918. According to my oldest half-sister Dot, she was born and raised and died in the same town we grew up in, St. Lawrence, or its sister town, Little St. Lawrence, Newfoundland. She was one of 9 children, 5 brothers and 3 sisters. Now, where was she in this lineup, I asked Dot. Well, for Christ's sake, I don't know, Dot says. Did she ever talk about her childhood? Oh, yes, likely now. She hardly talked to me at all. What was she like as a child, a teenager, a young married woman? I can only speculate and imagine. Outport life before modern conveniences was rough. People worked hard. Children too, as soon as they were old enough. Expectations, dreams, ambitions were low. Life was about survival. The only expectation was to be tough, stay healthy, and earn your keep. Did she finish school? Unlikely at that time, but more likely than the boys. Oh, she knew how to read and write. I remember her doodling on notepads and playing with letters, and I have a memory of her teaching me to do this one very cold winter night. She liked to write letters to her sister Gert, who lived in New York. Did she wish she had gone with her? Aunt Gert sent us clothes and hats. My mother was the best dressed woman in the cove. Aunt Mary, my mother's brother's wife, the oldest living member of our family, is 92 and ailing and was never too open with information at the best of times. Older Newfoundlanders are the most present people that I've ever met. They rarely indulge in reminiscing the past, and the future is no further than Tuesday's bingo game. What she does remember and repeats continually is that my mother was pregnant with me when she married my father. Oh, every family in the cove had 9 or 10 children, but apparently no one was having sex. One time, I was sent to the store to pick up a box of blue biscuits. Now, I found out later that this was the Outport woman's code word for Kotex pads. So, she grew up and married her first husband, Gregory Turpin. And with him, she had 4 children, Dot, Howard, Walter, and Mary. Howard died at 7 months. Just got a flu and died, Dot said. A few years later, her husband Gregory was killed in a mine cave-in. Dot told me the sirens wailed and everyone waited to see who had lived and who had died. My mother was alone now with 3 children. What were her options in a small Newfoundland outport? Well, she could put her children in an orphanage in St. John's and go to work cleaning houses for rich merchants. Aunt Mary and many other women did that. Or she could find another husband and keep her children. That's what she did. And she found my father, Randall Drake. Where did she meet my father? I asked Dot. Oh, at the club, probably. Where else? My father was a widower raising 6 children on his own, living in the neighboring town. Oh, he needed a wife. So they met and married. The Newfoundland Brady Bunch. There were 9 kids in all, but only 4 at home. I was the love child that brought them together. Then she had my 2 brothers, Sonny and Gary. What was she really like? I asked Dot. Well, how do you expect me to know what she was like? I mean, you knows how distant she was. She didn't talk much unless it was to God. Oh, yes, I remember the rosary beads. Was she depressed when she lost the baby? Oh, she was always depressed if you ask me, and stressed. About what? Oh, how the freak should I know? I have my few precious snapshot memories. Her getting dressed to go to the club with my dad, doing my hair for church, teaching me to write, sitting at our old kitchen table, doing the wash with the old wringer washer, saying the rosary, sitting at the kitchen window waiting for my father to get back from fishing at sea, and kicking me outside when the other women were visiting. Once, I came home from school with swollen red hands. I had gotten the strap from Sister David for something or other. I went running to her. Mom, look what she did to me. My hands were all red and puffed up. Well, my mother, she stopped putting the clothes through the wringer, wiped her hair back from her forehead, and looked at me and said, well, you must have done something wrong. She's a nun after all. I remember her coming to school one time for Parents' Day when I was in grade 4 on the wrong day, and the teacher inviting her to stay. Oh, there she sat in her hat and veil while I had to do a speech. Oh, I was so embarrassed. She smiled and nodded through the whole thing. I remember her trying to get a bumblebee out of the back porch with a broom on the day that my older half-brother Jim was shot. Walter came running in the house. Jim's dead, Jim's dead. What's wrong with you, Walter? She said. Don't be so foolish. And I remember the awful scream that came out of her when she realized that he was telling the truth. It was an accident. The boys firing at cans on a fence with a sawed-off shotgun, and Jim deciding to twirl the gun like in the Western movies. And I remember her cleaning the house from top to bottom to get ready for the wake. The last time I saw her, she was lying in a hospital bed crying while I was showing off my new dress. I think she knew she wasn't going to make it. Only 49 she was when we put her in the ground. I was 12. I'm tempted to fill in the blanks, to make up all the stuff I don't know, to make some sense of her life, to give her life some meaning. I have so often thought about her and missed her, and because I never really got to know her, well, I missed her when she was alive. Of all that was said and unsaid, I think she was a lady who did all the right things and maybe didn't understand why that didn't bring happiness. A gentle, sensitive woman who lived her short life in a very harsh environment. There are moments when I can hear her voice. Put your sweater on now. You don't want to catch a chill. Mind your manners. Go on. Go play outside. Be good